All right, good afternoon, class, and welcome to week number two. That is right, week number two of your 7415 class, which is your management class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin. And today, what we are going to talk about is we are going to first give a state of the course update, and then we are going to talk about two common APA mistakes that my students make that I am going to point out to you now in hopes that you will see these mistakes in this video, see my explanation of them, and then avoid doing them, because I will be counting off if I see these mistakes on your written paper assignments. Now, when I talk about first things first, when I talk about these written paper assignments, I am not talking about the discussion board posts, and I am not talking about the case studies. I am not going to, let me just make sure I am staying consistent here. Yes, okay. So I am not actually going to take off points if you have APA errors in your case studies or in your discussion board posts, and I don't even have that type of language in the grading criteria for the case studies. So having said that, that's just because I don't want you to stress out with your if your discussion board post, the last thing I want you to do, or your case studies, the last thing I want you to do is stress out thinking you might lose points over the APA formatting and that sort of thing. There's no reason to count off on that for those types of assignments. But when it comes to any other written assignments, there are essay style written assignments that you are going to be turning in to me and that your classmates are not going to see. Yes, those things, if they need APA citation, then I am going to be expecting that the APA citation be proper. So I am going to be looking for these common errors. Now, if you've had me in a class before, and I know a lot of you have, then once we get to the part of the video where I'm discussing APA, if you already know what I'm going to say, because I say it every semester in every class, then you can go ahead and probably peace out of the video at that time, because it's not really going to help you to hear something that you already have heard and are aware of. So that's why I am going to do the state of the course update first. And the state of the course update really is that so far, so good. That is pretty much all there is to it. So far, all you all have really needed to do is do the reading and start thinking about who you're going to interview for your interview assignment, and then do your introductions in discussion board post 1. And I think pretty much, I don't believe I had anybody who missed those points. If you did miss those points, for the, if you didn't get your discussion board post up for week number 1, if you didn't get that up in time by the deadline, then yes, you missed the points for that. But I don't believe that was the case in this class. So again, just stay on task. Remember to get your discussion board posts up by the middle of the night Sunday. Same with when you have case studies, get them up in time. I am not going to be waiting at the clock to count off if you're a few hours late, but definitely by the time that I get to grading this class on Monday mornings or Monday afternoons, sometimes you'll have a little bit of a grace period, in the sense that as long as you get the post up before I start grading them, then you will not lose any points. However, if you do not have your post up by the time that I get in and start reading, reviewing, and grading, then you've got a problem. And the way to make sure that you do have it up in time is to go ahead and get it all done by Sunday night. So those are words to the wise there. And I would say that I'm going to reiterate that this is my first time teaching this class, so I'm learning how students perform in the class based on how things play out in this course. So having said that, yes, when it comes to, as far as like examples of a good post in the discussion boards or a good response in the case studies, I will say that really what I'm trying to do now is learn how students respond to these case study prompts and to these discussion board prompts. So I will have examples probably and expectations that are a lot more defined next time I teach this class, but unfortunately for you all, I don't have clear expectations because I have not seen reasonable work from students yet. That's what I'm getting right now with you all. So having said that, that does mean that you all have a lot more leeway than my future classes are going to have. So that is the benefit or the silver lining to the cloud, I should say. So yes, you are kind of coming in without much of an example, or anything of that nature of what is a good post and what I'm expecting, but at the same time, also because you don't have those examples of my expectations, you're also going to be given a lot more leeway than my future classes will, because I have to determine what I can reasonably expect from you all based on how you all perform. So I hope that makes sense. All right. But I will say that so far, so if you are looking for what my expectations might be with the case studies, I will say that the case study responses that have been entered so far, I am satisfied with. So the ones that have been posted as of 11 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday, January the 25th, if you see case study posts that are time-stamped prior to 11 a.m. on January 25th, those time-stamped case study posts for unit number 1, they're good. They are good enough that I would say that the ones that have already been posted are probably all going to get the full 3 points. So if you are looking to get the full 3 points yourself, then what you probably want to do is read over what some of your classmates have done and make sure that you are applying similar, if not greater effort. Okay, so I hope that also makes sense. And if so, then we should have some smooth sailing in the course going forward. And that is what I want. Believe it or not, I do not want to stress you all out. I want this sailing to be as smooth as possible. I want you all to enjoy the course. But I do want you all to take the course seriously, and I do want you all to put your best effort forward, but I do not want you all to be stressed out with this course. We are in the middle of a pandemic still. They say that the Omicron variant isn't as deadly as previous variants, but I'm not worried about whether or not it is more deadly or less deadly. The truth of the matter is we are still in a pandemic, and so I am still trying to make sure that my students, if they're stressed about anything, then I want it to be the pandemic and not necessarily, I don't want you to be stressed at all, but if you have to be stressed about something, it's better to be stressed about the pandemic than my class. So I hope that makes sense as well. So let's go ahead and look at APA. So if you have heard my APA spiel before in another class, then there's no need for you to there's really no need for you to watch any more of this video because you're not going to learn anything new. This is stuff that you've already heard. Hold on one moment. All right, so let's talk some APA and some very common mistakes that are made in APA style. And the reason, again, why I am going over this is because, honestly, I don't like taking points off, but I do if I have to. But I think that if you all look at this video, look at what I'm saying, take it to heart, then when you do have to use proper APA style, which again will not be on the discussion board posts or the case studies, although if you want to get into practice there, that is certainly fine. But when you do have to use proper APA style, I do not want to have to take points off for improper APA use. And so I'm going to tell you these common mistakes that students make if I don't tell them ahead of time that these are incorrect things to do. And again, I'm just hoping that you commit this to memory, and therefore, if you do commit it to memory, then you can avoid these mistakes when you are turning in your assignments in the future. And I'll let you all know, too, which assignments I am expecting which assignments I am looking at APA style for and which I am not. Your final project, your grant project, will be something that I am definitely looking for good APA use in that assignment, but there may be, as I review some of these other assignments, like for instance, I don't know if I'm gonna count APA style on the job position announcement that you all are going to have as an assignment, because I don't know if you necessarily need to cite sources in that assignment. And if you don't need to cite sources, then there's no need to have APA. So I will let you all know which assignments are going to need the proper APA formatting and which are not. But the grant definitely will, and the discussion board posts and case studies definitely will not. Okay, so let's take a look. Actually, I am going to go to books to start this off. The first thing that I'm going to tell you, the first mistake is that a lot of people will, if they have the full name, they will go ahead and write out the full name in the reference list for their authors or editors, and you actually do not do that. So what you would do is you would your style should be last name, comma, first initial, period, then middle initial, period. So even if you have the full names, you do not write them out, okay? And this is a very, very common mistake with APA, with the reference list specifically. So let's say that you have me as an author, and my full name, I'll give it to you because it can be looked up anyway. My full name is Jason Kelly Alston. That is a tribute in part to my partial Irish heritage. Jason Kelly Alston. Alston would be the only name that you would write out fully. So it would be Alston, comma, but you would not write out Jason Kelly. You would just do Alston, comma, J period space K period. So Alston, comma, J K. Okay. You do not write out Jason Kelly. And that is how you are going to use, that's how you're going to do on your reference list for all of your authors and editors. You are never going to write their full names out. And if you need some assistance or some reference with that, again, just use the APA style guide, or use the Purdue OWL and their APA reference in the Purdue OWL, which can be, you can just Google Purdue OWL APA, and this is what'll come up. And OWL, OWL, like the bird. Okay, so that is the first piece there. Do not write out those given names. And then the second thing that I want to talk about is the capitalization. So here's the thing. With APA, you only capitalize, and we're using books as an example, but we are actually going to also look at periodicals and web pages because there's some other nuances there. With APA, you only capitalize the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, and then proper nouns. Again, first word of the title, first word of the subtitle, and then proper nouns in your reference list. This is specifically for your reference list, as you see here, reference list. So, as an example, you see this book here, Alexander the Great, A Life and Legend. The reason why great is capitalized is because actually the proper noun in this case is Alexander the Great, but even in a proper noun, you generally are not capitalizing you're not capitalizing articles, in those sorts of things. But Alexander is capitalized, Great is capitalized just because it's part of a proper noun, and then in the subtitle, A is capitalized, but not Life and Legend. Those are all lowercase. So let's scroll down to another example. A New Companion for Mallory is the title of this book, and as you can see, the only words that are capitalized are A and then Mallory. Mallory, again, is a proper noun, but as you can see, New and Companion are lowercase. So that's different from what you typically see in standard English prose, and so I want you all to be aware that, yes, this is different. And then also another thing to keep in mind as you are working with books is that the titles of books are italicized. And this can get tricky because what you're going to find is that in periodicals, you will italicize the title of the, you will italicize the title of the publication, but you will not italicize the title of the article. So let's go ahead and look at the periodicals now. So we're going to scroll back up. We're going to look at periodicals. And for those of you who don't know, because we're also not going to assume knowledge in this class. So for those of you who don't know, periodicals are resources that come out periodically and are indexed in a way that they have volumes and issues. So newspapers, magazines, and journals, those are periodicals. Newspapers a lot of times come out every day, if not every week. And then with periodicals, with journals, they can come out sometimes daily, but usually either weekly, monthly, or a few times a year, or sometimes just annually. And then with magazines, again, they can be quarterly, they can be monthly, and they can be weekly. All right, but those things all qualify as periodicals. And what you're going to see, again, you see the same scheme when it comes to the authors. Do not write out the first or middle names of the authors. But what you're going to see here is, again, title of the article is not italicized, but you're going to do these same things where you are capitalizing the first word of the title of the article, the first word of the subtitle of the article, and then any proper nouns. So, as an example, the Eclipse of Listening. This is a journal article title, The Eclipse of Listening, and you see that the is the only word that is capitalized. Eclipse, listening, not capitalized. However, you will use your standard capitalization with your title of your periodical. So the New Criterion, that is the name of this journal. And as you can see, all three words, the, new, and criterion, are all capitalized. Also, the title of the periodical is going to be italicized. So if your periodical is the New York Times, you will italicize that. If your periodical is Sports Illustrated, you will italicize Sports Illustrated. Time, you would italicize Time, and so forth and so on. If you're doing the New England Journal of Medicine as a journal, that entire thing, except for the word of, would be italicized. Would be capitalized, but of would also be italicized. The entire title, would be italicized. Okay. So that's how that works, and we'll scroll down and look at some other examples. As you can see here, this is a very long article title here, but as you can see in the title, the only word that's capitalized is tell. In the subtitle, the only word that is capitalized is understanding, and that's the first word after the colon. And everything else is lowercase, but the Writing Journal is the name of the resource the name of the periodical, and Writing Center Journal is italicized, and all the words are capitalized. Finally, we are going to look at your web pages. And with web pages, what the deal is that the web page itself is, again, going to follow this new type of capitalization scheme, but the website will use your standard type of capitalization. So let's scroll down and get a example of that. And I'm sorry, I actually hold on one moment. Okay, so my apologies, and I didn't mean to confuse. So let me clean this up right now. And the site name is actually going to do a similar thing, where the first word will be capitalized, but words that come after that will be in lowercase. And generally, you're not going to have subtitles in site names. So you can capitalize that first word, and then the remaining words are lowercase. But and this is for the website. So for instance, we're going to scroll down here, and the website is Budget Bytes. So this is the name of the web page. Tuscan White Bean Pasta is the name of the web page, but the name of the website is Budget Bytes, and Budget Bytes does not have the italics. And again, you would capitalize that first word, and then the words that come after you would not capitalize. But when you have the web page, the title of the web page, yes, is italicized. So you see Tuscan White Bean Pasta is italicized here, but you see the same thing is applying where you would capitalize the first word of the subtitle just like you would capitalize the first word of the title. But any proper nouns and anything that's not a proper noun, you're not going to capitalize in the title of the page. So Tuscan white bean pasta, you see Tuscan is capitalized, white bean pasta is not capitalized. And if there was a subtitle, then yes, for that first word of the subtitle, you would capitalize that first word, but then you lowercase everything else except for, again, any proper nouns. So hopefully that's clear. Some other things that I need to mention as I'm saying this is, for one, if you are kind of uncertain, then what you need to do is submit your paper to the Writing Center. So if you wanted somebody to check over your citations, then, that's not what we wanted, the online writery. And you can actually just Google Mizzou Writing Lab Remote Services, and you would be taken to the online writery, and you can submit something to the online writery if you need some help with your citations, and they can check over your citations for APA for you, okay? Another thing that you need to keep in mind is that these citation softwares, they are not 100%. So you need to double check on those. So for instance, if you're using Zotero, Zotero is very good. I do recommend Zotero for those of you who know how to use it. I don't know how to use it. I do need to learn because it'll save me some time. But Zotero is very good, but Zotero is not something that you want to just trust. Look over your generated citations in Zotero, or if you're using a different type of citation software, again, just double check on those. And then also, like, when you are in the databases for EBSCO and all these other ProQuest and all these other database vendors, yes, you can, whenever you access an article, there is an option for cite, and you can have computer generated citations that come up there. But those are only correct 80% of the time. And so you need to be mindful of that. 80% might sound good, but that does mean that if you have 10 sources in a paper, there's a good chance that 2 of them are incorrect. Okay, so you do not just want to trust the generated citations that you get off Zotero or that you get out of the database or anything. You do want to double check those, okay? And like I said, I will be taking off for things that do require proper APA citation. In this class, I will be taking off if you get it wrong. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes, but I failed to do that. However, we can keep it under 25 minutes, and I hope you've sped it up. We are going to end it right here. I am Dr. Jace, and due to the Omicron variant, please still keep a mask over your face. Peace, and I will see you next week. Thank you.